One of the best, most helpful things we can do, I believe, for our attitude, our thought life, and the reality of how we think and live our life is to never assume that good means perfect or very good means without fault, especially when we're thinking ourselves into someone else's life. I think this is probably pretty common. If we see a woman speaking to a group of women, maybe at a ladies' conference, maybe she's teaching an adult Sunday school class, maybe she's a teacher, a college teacher, anything. She could be the pastor's wife or some type of a leader's wife in the church, deacon, assistant pastor, or maybe a school teacher in the Christian school. Someone that we would associate with a person that would probably have a stable, growing Christian life of her own. All of a sudden, our mind wants to think through how great her life must be, how great her marriage probably is. If someone is bold enough to actually speak about or write about marriage, maybe in a book or a magazine article, or on a podcast, or maybe a weekly audio, we then may assume all kinds of things about this person's life, anyone that puts themselves out there to help other women. I know I have done this. I'll be thinking about a lady who's come to speak as a guest speaker and think, oh, well, this probably is what her marriage looks like. This is probably how her children treat her. This is probably how she always looks when she's out in public. This is probably what her life looks like. And we have this inflated view that somehow people that share truth with us, or people that we feel like should be strong Christians, we might idealize their life, make it into a Hallmark movie almost. We could do that with our own pastors' wives. Or if we are in leadership position, we might think other leaders' wives probably have these home lives. They don't struggle with weaknesses, or they're not suffering through heavy burdens. And all of that is just not true. And I think it's very helpful for us if we don't assume that a strong Christian lady has a perfect life. It's not good for us. First of all, it's not true. Just because there is a strong Christian lady who looks all put together and she's smiling and she is sincerely happy and filled with joy from the Lord, and she has something helpful to share, does that mean that all of her adult children are living perfectly godly lives and not breaking her heart, or that she's not struggling with the grief of unsaved loved ones or chronic illness, or even the smaller things? Do you think that maybe she and her husband never argue, or that her kids always respect her if they're living at home, and they probably just all sit around like a Norman Rockwell picture? But if we are more realistic and allow everyone the reality that even though they live a good life and a happy life and a spirit-filled life, that not everything is perfect in everyone's lives, that takes off so much pressure, but it also keeps us from that little bit of jealousy we might feel toward that person because of what we're assuming their life is. It also can keep us from relating to someone or making them approachable or going to them for counsel, because we just have in our minds that person would never relate, or I could never tell them this is happening. in my marriage, or they would never believe me that this is happening with my kids because I'm supposed to be so much better of a Christian. Don't you think that's a great tool that Satan would use? That we live these isolated lives because of false realities we've painted about other people. I have found that to be true, and I try to fight it in my own thought life. If you are shying away from someone that might be able to help you because you feel they wouldn't understand you or they would judge you because they are so put together, they have all their ducks in a row, and they don't have sinful weaknesses, and they will probably never think of you the same if you go to them for prayer or for counseling. Don't let Satan have that victory in your life. Fight against it. When I see that I'm idealizing someone else's life, immediately I fight that with the reality that things aren't perfect for them. I can admire and respect a lady who may also be dealing with some very real struggles that she's just not free to discuss. It wouldn't be wise. Or if you were speaking to her one-on-one, she may be very honest with you and tell you some things that would really surprise you. And she'd be happy to do so. But we don't want to live on false assumptions that could cause jealousy, could cause us to not become friends with someone that we're intimidated by, could cause us to feel less than, or to feel like our lives will never measure up and we wish we had her kids, her husband, her job. We wish we were as popular or as well recognized in the church. All of this is happening because of thoughts planted there by Satan. So when you realize you're thinking these thoughts, first of all, realize everyone struggles with that. But fight against it. Fight against thinking other people's lives are perfect. Because you need to get help. You want to have friends. You don't want to be jealous. You want to build a community of strong Christian friends around you. And those thoughts are not helpful and they're not true. This is something that's helped me a lot to realize it and fight against in my own thought life. Maybe it'll help you too. Have a great week, ladies. Let's walk in love. Loving God by loving others.